Good morning. This is my first day in my RV. I have traveled yesterday from Winchester, Virginia to Florida, New York. And I just did my first Facebook Live. And quite honestly, I'm actually really quite terrified. I have lived in a constant state of stress and fear for quite some time. I've come to realize in this last year that I am also highly ADHD. Wow, newsflash. After I started reading some books written by Dr. Gabor Mate. So I had already made plans to do this RV thing, but now that it's here, I'm actually doing it. There are so many things that I cannot talk about that I want to talk about because they relate to my companies and which are stressful, and just can't talk about them, and it's really hard running a business. People look at it like, it's very challenging at times, and I'm in one of my more challenging times right now, running this business, building it out and growing it, and in part I'm here to talk about my story and definitely raise some money to be able to grow the business further. Hopefully, and may it help many people. As you know, I own substance use and mental health medical practices, myself in recovery as well, 21 years, May 11th. But what I've really come to understand is how my reaction to things have happened because I'm ADHD, because ADHD ties back to childhood trauma specifically, abandonment and other things, in my case also beatings and other things. And I actually thought after I got sober at 39 I was okay. I thought my life was good. I ended up getting married, although when I really look back, all the motivations for every relationship and even this last marriage, it just was all wrong. And it was wrong because my reaction to everything and how I, go about things is just off because of that trauma. So the one thing I brought with me in my packing, I just jumped out, is Scattered Minds. Actually, it's the updated cover of the book. And my ukulele, my one ukulele book to learn how to go back to playing, because I haven't had time for me. I haven't made time for me. And I'm still running under a very high level of stress, or at least I feel stress in my body. And in part, I'm here to release some of that stress. And getting on to an RV on this kind of thing is not exactly without stress when you really don't know what you're doing. And the first thing that happened is when I picked up the Jeep and the RV from Trick Trucks, I brought it home. Well, when I got to the traffic light at my house, the brake disconnected. I put it back on, or I thought I did. I guess I really hadn't. Pulled it back home and left it parked until I was ready to leave. And I thought it was just as easy as turning the buttons on. Well, it wasn't, because it had slipped off and therefore had an error code. And for 2 hours, no one could figure out, and I was trying to pack and get the stuff into the RV because I had to get the open house, I had to get out, right? So I'm faced with, I just paid for a whole week, and I'm faced with that maybe I can't go now. And I held it together until right before it was almost like 1 o'clock, and I couldn't get the thing going, and I just lost it. And my meltdowns are epic anymore. I can't even, call it hysterics, call it whatever, but the only way for me to get through anything is just to scream and cry, because I feel so much pain, and it's been so painful for so long, because it's just been a lot the last few years. My ex-husband had to leave the business out of, I can't even really go into that right now too much yet. But it's been quite a journey. So that then, puts me right back into my fear state. In my fear state, what else can go wrong? The doom and gloom. So I'm here to actually stop all of that noise and really heal myself, as well as share my story with everyone else. for everyone else to watch. How am I doing? How am I doing on a day-to-day basis? How am I really doing? Because I've never done this. I've never talked about myself like this. I've never, well, I talk about myself all the time, some will say, but this is new for me. But I know it affects many people in my community especially, and actually I think everyone is affected by trauma, epigenetic trauma specifically, and we're going to break that down. I love that term. It's not that I love that term. I learned about that term, and I never had really heard it. And to me, a lot of things connected when I actually understood what epigenetic trauma is. It is trauma that is generated from generation to generation. It's even taught. For example, when we are taught to discipline our children with force, that's a learned, that's what we do, that's what society has done. Well, that right there creates trauma in the child and called epigenetic trauma and causes all sorts of havoc. And when you talk to people today about, don't discipline your children physically with violence, you'll be surprised how many people still want to do that. And all I say is don't beat your children, okay? Just don't. Anyway, there's so much to it, but when you can understand that that's what happens to each one of us, and then our reactions to life, 65%, I think it is, of men are narcissists. That's a trauma response, childhood trauma response. Well, that's epigenetic. So what if we can get to the root cause of all of these things, and everyone can find a path through that and shed those things that are harmful to us and others. That's the point, right? Because we become toxic and harmful to others. In a sense, if people can't, feel comfortable around you. So with that, I'm going to, start the journey and trying to feel into my body and calm down, because even now I'm jittery because I'm afraid of, is the Jeep going to be okay now? I didn't even unhook anything last night. Probably should have. Hope the battery's okay. But I don't want to touch a thing because I can't figure out how to put it back together right away. I'll be frustrated. And that's it. I get frustrated. I get, in a frustrated state. And I need to not do that. And my therapist said, what triggers you? And I'm like, damn, a lot triggers me. Everything triggers me. But it doesn't need to be that, and I know that. Currently, I'm not on any medications. I do consume CBD. I brought the wrong bottle, of course, with me. Maybe I brought a couple more, but anyway. Because I do it for the dogs too, but we can both use it. But the main one that I use for my ADHD, I grabbed 2 of the same bottles and not the one for that. So typical, right? But that's one thing I use, and then the other thing is, I do consume cannabis now, and have for about, I guess, going on 4 years. Before that, at 17 years where I didn't, 17, 18 years where I didn't do anything. I guess it's 5 years then, because we're now in 2023. Okay, I'm doing math in my head. I'm like, wait a minute. I always told everybody 17 years when I first started smoking again, and I'm like, okay, so that's been then 5 years. Wow, time flies. Close to. So, yeah, I've been doing that, and it has helped me, I think, to some extent. Do I need it? No. If I have it, it's great. If I don't have it, so be it. But I do enjoy it. So that's been helping. And, I think that's it for this almost 10-minute little talk. And I hope you enjoyed what you heard. I hope it resonates with you. I am excited to share my journey with lots of love, more to come, Divine Feminine. All right. Talk to y'all soon.